One of the biggest things that contributes to burnout. Today, we're talking about something that I think about a lot daily, and it's caregiver burnout. I want to really get in the weeds of what caregiver burnout looks like, what it feels like, and stick with me till the end because I'm going to give you a tip. One thing, I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. The one thing that actually works to help relieve some of that caregiver burnout and the trick to actually making it work for you. Let's get into it. I'm only going to speak for myself, but I know if you're watching this, you most likely feel the same way in how I'm going to describe burnout. Burnout is more than just feeling tired or a little bit annoyed or a little bit impatient. It's a lot more than that. Here's what it actually looks like. I get really short-tempered, not just with my dad or, snappy, I guess is a better word, but then with my husband and my daughter and even my cat sometimes. And I get really judgmental with myself. Like I tend to beat myself up a lot for then having that frustrated response. This little thing is setting me off. That little thing is setting you off, and it just keeps going. And it almost feels like a snowball rolling down a hill, right? It starts off small and then it builds and it gets bigger and heavier. And then you're just rolling down the mountain. And caregiver burnout is very insidious because it isn't like you wake up one day and you're feeling overwhelmed. At least in my experience, it's not usually a big dramatic event that happens that tells you, hey, you're burned out. It's like I was saying about this snowball effect where that little thing, then the next thing happens and then the next thing. And it's it's 100,000 small little moments that just keep adding up. That's actually what burnout starts to feel like. And that makes it even more important to catch yourself in those little moments and then carve out the time. We're going to talk about how carve out the time to reset. For a long time, I thought it was, I'm just having hard days. Then it was hard weeks. Then it's hard months. That's when I really started to feel or really understand that it wasn't just, hey, this is a hard thing and I'm just trying to get through it and I'm having a hard time. Just comes with the territory. When I lost myself. I completely lost, and I've touched on this before, I lost almost like the thread back to myself, and I didn't see myself as a whole person. Instead, I was just seeing myself as a caregiver, right? I'm the caregiver to my dad. I give him his medication. I cook for him. I do his laundry. I now, more recently, help change him, make sure he's showered, make sure he's eaten, make sure he's drank something, make sure. And so that's when it got scary. Like, holy shit, I'm not myself. I'm just this role that I'm playing. And in the middle of all that, let's face it, you forget to make sure about yourself and what you need and what you want to do. And that's when you know it's burnout, because you are only seeing yourself as this list of tasks and responsibilities that you have to do for your loved one. And it's for someone else. It's not something for you. That's when you know it's burnout. So guess who was making the burnout worse? I was the one making it worse. One of the biggest things that contributes to burnout is thinking that you can control everything, every single movement of your loved one. Feel like you have to control every moment. So this little part is specific to dementia, but you can extrapolate from this and apply it to whatever your loved one's condition or disease is. For myself and for my dad, I was overcorrecting. And I touched on it in a previous episode, doing the odd thing, right? And the example I gave, he's using a napkin and fork instead of a knife and fork to pick up his food. And there's a bunch of other odd little things that he does. And at the beginning, and just a reminder, he's been living here with me and my family for the last 4.5 years. When you overcorrect, it exacerbates and accelerates the burnout, because now you're paying attention to every single little detail that your loved one is doing or not doing. And so that hypervigilance is exhausting. And that's a big part of why caregiver burnout happens in the first place. You cannot watch, and I catch myself having these thoughts. I'm not going to sit here and say that I have, cured caregiver burnout, because it's a constant, it's a daily thing that you have to keep in check. Let's face it, you watching your loved one closely, right? Like just watching them like a ticking time bomb, it's not going to make a difference, unfortunately. And that's the hard and sad truth about caregiving, is that no matter all the stuff that you do, all the guardrails you put in place, all the correcting you do, all the watching you do, there's still going to be a point of where the decline is inevitable, and that eventually our loved one won't be here anymore. I know that's really hard for some people to hear, but I believe in being honest. No matter how hard you try, their decline still progresses. You cannot, listen to me closely, you cannot outwork the disease or the condition that your loved one has, whether it's dementia or cancer or, ALS or whatever condition and or disease your loved one is living with. You can't outwork that. There's something that happens when you accept that reality that almost alleviates some of the pressure that you're putting on yourself. Another thing that contributes to caregiver burnout, and this is something that I haven't heard anyone talk about, is that you feel taken for granted. And even one step further, caregiving can feel demoralizing. Your loved one can say thank you. You can know that they're thankful and appreciate it, even if they're not quite able to tell you. Your family members can say thank you. The other people that live with you at home, your partner, your kids, or other extended family members acknowledge your hard work and still feel taken for granted. Because caregiving, it's a lot of invisible work. The invisible work is happening up here, right? It's happening with the anticipation, the hypervigilance, reordering the medication, thinking about what, we're going to make for dinner, like all of those things. Those are things that are happening in your mind. And so no one else is clocking that, and it's invisible work. And the demoralizing part, I don't know, I can only speak for myself. Without getting into too much details, there have been some incidents where I do all the things, I've set up the bed, done all this, I've put in all the guardrails to prevent an accident, like an incontinence accident, and still something gets messed up, and all my preparation and all the anticipation that went into preventing the thing from going off the rails still happened. And that is it feels like a gut punch. It feels like made this really great dinner and someone just took the plate and dropped it on the floor, and now there's food everywhere. And I'm not trying to be bleak or anything or negative. When things don't go as you anticipated, it can feel really shitty. And that's not a character flaw, okay? That doesn't say anything about you. It's just a human response and a human emotion to a really, really difficult situation. And you're allowed to feel that. So here's what actually helps, and it's going to sound counterintuitive. What helps is for you to lose yourself. But stick with me. Don't lose yourself in the caregiving role. That's the thing we all know how to do. We all know how to lose ourselves in the details of caregiving. The thing that's going to help you feel less burned out is to lose yourself in things that you actually enjoy. So here's a few examples. I have a love of indoor plants. When it's time to tend to my plants, that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on measuring the moisture level, watering them, feeding them, wiping off any pests. I'm losing myself in that moment because I'm focused on what I'm doing. Another example, I recently found this singing bowls. I think it's like a kind of like a meditation sound. So when I have, even if it's just 5 minutes, I'll put AirPods in, I cover my eyes, an eye mask, or put a pillow over my face and listen to that and just lose myself in the thing. Another big one, cry, just cry. I'm not one of these people that thinks it's wrong to cry or is ashamed of crying. I think we live in a society that has us believe that crying is somehow bad or shameful or not necessary, and I couldn't disagree with that more. If I'm having a tough moment, I'm gonna cry, and I'm going to let myself cry, and I'm gonna lose myself in that moment in crying. And next thing you know I feel better because that tension that's been building up inside has been released, and it works. I lose myself by playing music throughout the house, right? When I'm preparing lunch or dinner or whatever it is, put on my favorite music, grab the freaking bottle of oil and pretend that I'm singing into a microphone, or do air guitar, and you feel kind of silly and a little dumb doing it, but it doesn't matter. This one's gonna probably make me blush, but have sex. If you don't have a partner, you know what to do, right? If you can lose yourself in something physical that feels good. These are some of my own real life examples, and of course yours are going to look different. When you lose yourself in that moment to something that you actually enjoy, that's when you reinforce that connection to yourself. The one thing that makes all those examples of losing yourself actually work, it's to not think about your loved one while you're doing that thing. If you're meditating at home, right? Your loved one is taking a nap, or someone else is in the house that can sit with them, take yourself to the bedroom, put the eye mask on, put whatever music on, and just lose yourself without thinking of your loved one and all the responsibilities and the what ifs and the what about this. Forget all of that. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It does not mean that you don't care about them. You are simply taking a break from the mental load of caregiving. And here's the other thing, do something at least once a day. Even if you don't feel burned out, and so you're like, okay, well, I'll just wait to, do X, Y, and Z at the end of the week. No, you have to carve out time at least once a day, at least, or else that snowball is gonna start building and building and building. And we know what that looks like. It doesn't actually matter what the activity is that you're doing. The point is you're sending yourself a signal that you matter and that you exist outside of this caregiver role. This is gonna sound so corny. I can't believe I'm even gonna say it, but here we go. You have to make your own joy and yourself a non-negotiable. Before I let you go, please leave me a comment below and tell me what you do to help you reset when caregiving is feeling heavy. Okay, that's it for this week's episode. Take care of yourself. I mean it. Promise yourself that you're going to do something to reset at least once a day. I'll see you next week.